1. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Overshot, a paintball podcast. Before we get started with our guest this time, I need to tell you guys, please, if you want to help out the show in any way, shape, or form, go to our Patreon. That is patreon.com/overshot, a paintball podcast. And any donation that you can do monthly is $5, $1, whatever. You can go there and see all the different benefits you can get from discounts on merchandise and other things. And it's really the best way to help out the podcast if you like to do that. We also have 2 affiliate sponsors for our show, and that is Dizana. If you go to their website, dizanasports.com, and buy anything from their website and use code OVERSHOT, you'll receive 10% off your order. And as well as Dizana, we have Volcano. They have the backpacks that you see everyone rocking. Their website is volcanousa.com. And if you use code OVERSHOT10 when you check out, you'll receive 10% off. Now I can't wait to get to our guest. I mean, this man has been doing Radio Row. He's been everywhere. He's a no stranger to our show. Joey B, the Avocado King. Welcome back, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Travis. And it's nice to be back on your podcast. Big fan of the show, of course. And yeah, happy to be back here. How's it going?
Dude, it's great. It's great. Hey, wait, first of all, everybody, give yourself a round of applause because we made it. 2020 is over. Congratulations. This is our first show of 2021. Give yourself all a little round of applause here. We made it. It's over. So I don't want to hear about it no more.
We survived.
Yeah, we survived. I don't want to hear about it no more because it's 2021 and it's way better. So no one's having a better 2021 than you. But first, we'll go into where we kind of left off, you leading into Damage. But something I definitely want to reach is you played the MXL, which is the Mexican Expo League recently. So tell our fans about that experience. I know you had a sweet, we were talking about before, a 3-on-1 that Harrison Frye captured on his Instagram. So just give us a little breakdown of that event and tell us what it's like to especially cross international lines in this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to dive into that real quick. I haven't really got to talk about it, and it was such a good time. Mexico is one of the leagues that I always have been playing in for the past 4 seasons now. And it's been a weird year with COVID. I haven't been able to really travel and go do my international leagues in Europe and Asia and Australia, all these different places that I'm used to going to and filling out my weekends between NXL USA. But fortunately, towards the end of the summer, our borders opened up to Mexico. So you can fly back and forth there, and it's fairly easy for California. We don't have to quarantine when we come back for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's nice.
And, you're telling me, man, a lot of my New York friends, Harris, didn't want to go because they're like, well, I'm going to come back and have to quarantine. It's like, man, I totally get that. You can't really hold up your real life for 2 whole weeks just because of 1 weekend of fun. So it is what it is. But, I don't have to worry about that. And I'm a pretty healthy person overall, so I'm not too worried about any health risks to myself, at least. Of course, I'll be mindful to others. So yeah, I took the old leap across the border to El Mexico and played Mexico, and man, it was a blast. Stop me if you want any particular stories, but I basically can start at the beginning. I went there, I want to say 4 days early, and went to Puerto Vallarta, which is my favorite place. Have you been there?
No, dude, but I've heard about it. My mom's been there. She talks about it.
I've been to probably, 10, 15 different cities in my 20 visits to Mexico. Guadalajara is my most frequented one, but in all the places I've been to, or little side travels after the events, Puerto Vallarta is my favorite, hands down. And there was an event there once, but now it's kind of my thing to go there, the cheap $50 flight from one city to the other before or after events, just to get a little R&R, and take a true non-paintball vacation. And it's like a better Cancun, less touristy, just a much better ocean, beautiful coast, surfable waves, and a nice, just kind of traditional village feel right there mixed into the resorts in paradise. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And fortunately I traveled there with my, good traveling buddy, Harrison Frye. You've had him on before. And we had such a good time because his team, normally we go and we do kind of the backpacking thing. We do it cheap, but his team knew it was his birthday, so they had a connection to a local massive, like, all-inclusive resort right on the beach.
Oh, sweet, dude.
Yeah. So we got the 3 night stay completely covered and comped, and I didn't spend $1 there on, all the food you can eat, buffets every day, and then unlimited Mai Tais and margaritas on the beach, swim up pool bars, all the good stuff.
Oh, what a nice little post World Cup treat that is.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, well, I can't go to World Cup Asia this year, so I'll go do this for like my vacation relaxation. And yeah, I mean, the only money I really had to spend there was $120 on temporary scuba cert, and I did a few, like, 40-minute dives near like little coral reefs and little islands, and we saw eels, rays, all that. We even saw like a near 100-foot humpback whale, like 100 feet off of our boat.
Cool.
Yeah, because they
That's
just
really
start coming in. Supposedly December 3rd is when they start coming into that little like bay in Mexico, and we got there December 2nd. So we were like, oh, maybe we will.
Oh,
First day we go out and we see a humpback whale.
I
It
always
was
wanted to see a
insane.
whale, dude. How massive is it? Like, it's got to be like the biggest thing you've ever freaking seen, dude.
It's crazy. I mean, kind of the iceberg effect where you don't see the whole thing if it doesn't jump, but even the
Yeah,
part sticking out where he's like, breathing is longer than your house, and it's like it's really it puts life into perspective when you see something that gigantic that's living, and it humbles you because it's like, oh my God, this creature could just flip our boat right now, but it's a
yeah.
gentle giant. So yeah, we got to do that, and then we explored some nightlife. There's a lot of like clubs and dance areas still open in Puerto Vallarta, and I feel like people are safe down there. Like the employees wear masks and whatnot, but overall, it's mostly young, healthy people out and about, and it's kind of like, hey, if you're gonna go out and socialize, you're at your own risk. You know what to expect, and so yeah, we went out and had a great time. Met a lot of cool locals. Just had an
Awesome.
absolute blast for a few days, and then flew out to Guadalajara Friday morning just before practice. Got in and got ready to start the MXL event.
Dude, that's sick. That's sick. So, what layout was the event? Did they use like a previous NXL layout, or was it their own kind of little concoction?
Yeah, so our Toro is the guy who runs the league, and he is pretty good at using the NXL layouts because his events are typically within a week or two after NXL events.
Right.
So, yeah, we use the World Cup layout, and that's great because I already know that layout like, the back of my hand. I can play it in
Yeah.
my sleep after, 5-10 times practicing it, and several, probably like 40 points at Cup we played. So, it's nice because you go there and obviously they want you to play, but as an American pro player, you're there to teach these guys how to play, and kind of like you're basically clinicking them while you play the tournament. You're like showing them how to like break down a field and jobs to do. And it's like, I already know this field. So we only have 1 day of practice, me with my team that I'm jumping in, and
Right.
they don't speak very good English, but it's like I could quickly show them like, this is the base play. This is how to push snake side. This is how to push D side. We'll run audibles of those 3 plays, and we'll plug in the guys that can do each job, whether you're an attacker or whether you're a shooter. And
Right. There's no
I made it
language
work.
barrier on arrows on a paper.
Yeah. Oh
Go
God,
here, you go there.
I'll tell you, man, that if you want a challenge in paintball, especially, even you upper level guys who watch this, semi-pro and pro, you think it's hard to be a leader or a coach or a captain for a paintball team. Try playing X ball down there, where it's like you play every point. They want us to, be their starters as pro players,
Mhm.
but then you come back in, and in that 2 minute break, I have to overcome the language barrier and say, you, Taco Dos, shooting Dorado Trace. And, I mean, you go the Webo and shoot salsa, and just explaining the plays and what I want them to do. And hoping they all get it. Some of them when you're looking around are like, okay, and you're like, comprende,
Yeah.
understand, and they're
Are
like,
you sure?
okay,
Comprendo? We good?
yeah. And half the plays aren't going to work out because maybe they missed some things in translation, but
Yeah.
yeah, it really forces a lot out of you. And by the end of the tournament, I am mentally shot.
Yeah. No, you've spoken a lot about like being a leader on the team, and that's maybe one of the things that like the lower tier pros aren't doing what you want to do, Mike. So travel and be the guy on that team.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's something that a lot of my older pro mentors told me is they're like, hey, you can come on to a pro team, and anyone on this team is going to be a good shooter, good talker, and pretty athletic. So you're kind of just going to play a role, but at a certain point, you have to learn how to become the guy, like how to really
A
either
leader.
be the guy who can go win the point by themselves when they have to, or the guy who can bring everybody up and be the leader the team needs, like the glue that holds together the core of the team while it's playing out there together. And yeah, it's really forced my game to excel a lot, and I contribute a lot of like, my ability to like at least catch up to these upper level top 20 type guys out there to experiences like this overseas where it's like you do or die, and if you don't, you're not going to make it out of prelims. And I normally am trying to podium every single event at least, so it's forced me to improve.
Right. They're bringing you in, so you have like a certain like God, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like you want to perform for them because they went on a limb to bring you in.
Yes, exactly. That's really what it is like, don't let them down, expectation wise, and also don't waste their money. Like,
Yeah.
they pay guys like us, and they cover our flights and hotel and food and things like that, and bring us to these cool extra experiences. And I'm sure they do it anyways because they're great guys, and they love us as people, and they want to share their world with us. But I've seen pro players go there before, and they'll be out drinking at the club till 3 4 a.m. each of those weekend nights, and the next day it's like, I won't name names, but those guys often aren't very sharp, and they don't make it out of prelims. And it's like, dude, your team owner probably just dropped $1,000 or $2 on you overall. Like, if they're going to invest that in me, I'm going to make sure that they're, getting the weapon they bought for out there, and also learning all they can. They're paying for a class. I'm here to
Right.
teach. So
Right. You're not over there puking in pods in between points and dumping it.
never. And it's funny because they're really cool. Like, they try to feed you drinks. Everybody in Mexico, I've told you this before, is at the field till like 10:30 every night, and it's like, that's cool on Sunday when you're celebrating and players party, but Friday and Saturday night there is no reason to be there that late, and they're still trying to hand me micheladas and 40-ounce Coronas, and I'm like, no, not till Sunday, till Sunday. Just turning around all these like friendly Mexicans around me, and then it pays off because we always make it out of prelims. We generally always get top 3. I come home with at least some kind of like small medal every time, and then Sunday it's like, man, those first couple cold beers are like, now we have we've earned it.
Yeah. No, because like
Yeah.
you got to be 100% like all the time. Like I have this conversation with people I like smoke or whatever, and like, listen, bro, I don't care what you do after the games or before then. But like you got to be ready during the games, and you don't want anyone saying that this is like. Don't let that be a reason. Like I'm like that with
Yep.
drinking. Dude, if you want to go out and have a good time, that's fine, but don't be wasted. And then tomorrow you're a little hungover, and then we're not playing so good because that's the first thing someone's gonna say. And you'd be like, listen, dude, you're out drinking last night, and now you're not performing.
Exactly. It's like one thing if you're having an off day, but it's like if there's a reason that you could have avoided, like, dude, you're clearly playing slow, or you're gassing out every other point because you're hungover, because you're dehydrated. It's like, that's on you. Now I can fully fault you, and now I'm going to be upset with you too because you're wasting my time and money by doing. They always say preparation takes no talent and it's free. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
not preparing by like getting good rest and hydrating those couple nights before, then you're being selfish and stupid.
Dude, hell yeah. This dude that helps me with the podcast, he says, success happens when preparation meets opportunity. When you prepare for the opportunity, you're more likely to succeed.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
But yeah, tangent that was. But so how did the event break down? Give us like maybe a couple points of a
Okay.
breakdown here.
Yeah, so the event was awesome. Arturo runs a great league. Obviously, his webcast was better than ever. New tower with a better view, and a lot of teams came out. You know, similar to the regional leagues around here, you just had a host of teams where it was running into dark and playing under lights for the last few hours till like 9, even though it was getting dark by like 5, 6 ish, or maybe like dark at 7,
Mhm.
because there were so many teams there from in the D3 Open division, which is the one we play in. That's basically D3, but allows a pro guest on the field, and then to like D4 and like basic 5-man, basic 3-man. So such a great time. Like the energy and the vibe was amazing because everybody's just excited to get out there and play a real tournament
Right.
finally after that huge long off season and nothing. You know, the second off season. Um, so we had an awesome competitive event, and the brackets were tough because in my bracket I had TJ All Stars, who's always going to be the team to beat. You know,
Yep.
that's the home team. It's basically a semi-pro team already, reclassed. They can play it, and then
Uh-huh.
they always have a couple good guests. Like they generally have Jesse Stevens from X Factor
Yep.
and Grayson Gladstone as their D1 guest. He's like a mutiny guy, CA elite. He's been through a few semi-pro teams, and you know you have dramatic games with them because it's always super close, and you know if things are perfectly, you're going to be a little upset because it just feels like, man, we're playing against the favorites. You know,
Mhm.
as good as they are, that makes it even worse. And and then I had to play against. Let's see here. There were teams with Harrison Frye there, a team with Keith Brown, who was in our bracket,
Ooh.
and we ended up tying them 4-4. That was a sweet game. And then let's see here. What other pros were there? Corey Hall was there with the Die Team Titans, and man, I'm apologizing to the pro guys who I might have missed. I know there was a few American guests down there.
Yeah, I
There was
think.
an OG pro there. Ben was in
Oh, really?
Mexico, but he was at his family's vacation home with his girlfriend, so he did not come to the event. He was in Cancun.
Oh, man, I could have sworn he was down there. Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
he was there. He was there, just opposite coast, and not playing paintball, just
Yeah.
relaxing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
would have
for
been
our
nice.
future list, if you want a little insight, I have reached out to Ben Challenger. He is going to be on the show, but yeah, he was in Mexico, so he couldn't come on.
Yep, yep, true. Yeah, that'd be a nice guy who's also kind of local to you, that northeast area for Canada, to have on the show. So that'd be cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, we had a pretty hectic prelims. We beat two teams that we should beat on paper decisively, like Mercy Rule wins, which
Mhm.
helped us out because then we got a tie against Keith Brown's team, and now it's like, okay, so I mean, if we lose this last game, we're 2-1-1, and we might move on, but that means there's a few other tie teams we might also not move on. However, because we had like positive 8 point margin from a 1 point loss to TJ All Stars and then two big wins, the tie didn't really affect us. And that tie game was one of my favorite games. It's worth a watch on if you or viewers haven't, on the MXL's Facebook, because like all World Cup, I played Dorito side. I'm generally a D side 2 for DMG. But at that event, it was kind of like, I'm going to see where everybody can play, and then I'll just plug in the spot that's needed most.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm able to do, anyways. So I played Snake side as the 1 or the 2. And I had not played that at all on the layouts because DMG needed me as the D side 2, kind of like the anchor spot. So
Right.
now I'm playing the really aggressive spot where it's like I'm either going out there or I'm sending my front guy to the corner and I'm underfilling and passing him and just getting stuff done. And it was fun, and especially matching up heads up constantly against Keith Brown. You know, we're trading gunfights for dominance every single point, 8 points in a row. And I think he went up like 4-2 on us, and then we came back in like 2 minutes left and scored two quick ones where like me and my other snake guy just had to fly down the field and be risky, and we brought it back just in time to tie it, held the last 10 seconds, and ended the game 4-4. And at that moment, it was like, okay, we only lost one game. We won two decisively, tied this one. We're probably going to move on.
Mhm.
And I think Harrison's team was tied 2-1 and 1 too, but they had a less point margin. So we moved on. You only take top four.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. So we move on in fourth, and it was like, okay, there it is. This is, this is back to the new tournament feel. We have a chance to win this thing. Let's start over.
Right.
So the next day we had a late start, luckily, because they have to get all the 3-man and stuff out of the way. And then like 1 o'clock rolls around, and we play semifinals against TJ All Stars, and it's a bloody, brutal game. Unfortunately, we got some penalties. One on me that I did not agree with because I jump shot a guy coming for me. Anybody can watch this on the replay. It's ridiculous. And then I came down and I was like, all right, well, at the very least, I'll be aiming this way and we'll just trade out face to face, shooting each other in the face. And we traded out, and I got a spinning penalty. And it stole momentum from us, and the match just kind of got away, and then we lost by like 2 points. So now we're not going to play for first, but always go out on a high note. And this is something I want to preach to anybody at events or, trying to find that like mindset to getting to the top, especially, if you're paying for a tournament or you're being brought to a tournament, you're there to win. And if you're not able to win the tournament, you better at least go home with a third on your neck. You have a chance to at least go on a high note. I've seen teams just go, forget it. We'll save the paint money and just take the fourth. Like, we're just going to forfeit the last game, or let's just play for fun and give, other guys more play time that didn't play. But in my mind, it's like, I'd rather have third than fourth. So I'm going to go as hard as I can.
What?
Yeah. Just obvious, right?
Yeah.
So we played against the Die team, which is OC, or what is it? I forget.
Titans, you're right, I think.
Titans, yeah. And that's Corey Hall's team, who is a buddy of mine, a longtime rival from Elevation and then Ironman. And that game was a gritty back and forth battle. And then eventually it went into overtime. And man, it was you get 5 minutes for overtime. Mm-hmm. We lost 1 or 2 early, and then it was like a super long 3-on-4. And then we shot one 3-on-3. And then I heard one of my guys, my semi-pro guy, Damien from Newbies, I heard him yell, "I'm out of paint." He had just been shooting his whole pack dry, so he's probably on his last 10 balls. And then I watched him, and at that point, I'm like, well, I'm on the island on Snakeside, but I'm going to make something happen. I don't want to just die back here in defense. Yeah. And I already think I'm going to get going here. And at that moment, I saw him and my Dorito player die. So it became a 1-on-3. And I was like, time to go. Mm-hmm. And I came over the top, shot at Corey Hall in the D-side tower, who was like kind of keeping me honest all game. And I put him in, and I was like, I'm just going to run and gun all the way to the snake. And, if I hit this guy or I can keep him in, then I have a chance here. And I hit him on the gun on the way to snake 50. Oh. And I was like, now I have the chance, because the snake guy was not wide in the corner. He was stuck in the God bunker. So I'm not going to be pinched by him and the Dorito player. And I came into the 50, 1-on-2, posted on the player in the God. He leans out to look at me. I shoot him in the face. And I was like, okay, I had to do that. If that guy didn't engage me, the other guy could just keep working down the D side. And, younger player, he made the mistake and engaged for a gunfight. And as soon as I shot him, I came over the top to look and see where the Dorito player had gotten. And he was just sprinting down the whole D side going for my buzzer, which, heads up play by him, like go for the buzzer rather than try to kill the pro player. But because I shot his teammate, I just caught him in the open in the gaps between bunkers, put a lane, caught him, and then won the point with like 20 seconds left and secured the third.
Yeah. Dude, hey, money was on the line, like you were saying before. I don't get that whole mentality when you're playing for third and fourth, like whatever. Like, I've had that situation before, and that's what I use for motivation. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to pay the full paint tab or not? Fucking go out there and win these couple points, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stay clocked in till the very end. When the last match is over, then you can go, okay, time to relax, or maybe bitch about why we didn't make it into the finals game or whatever. But it's like, if they say you still have a game left to play, just be a soldier and finish strong, So
yeah, there's nobody on this planet that's that good that doesn't need the reps. At least go out there and get the reps, man. Ryan Greenspan will go out there and get the reps. You should be out there getting the reps.
Agreed. And that's when you get that game time experience of, hey, it's still a finals game. It might be for third and not for first, but there's still the pressure of like, can you step up and can you can you turn it around knowing you just had a bad loss and play better than that match, or are you going to carry it forward and just not give a crap, and it is a nice mental test. And you really see if people kind of just are, gassed out, or if they just don't care unless it was for first, or you see those guys who just like, dig deep and find the extra little bit in the tank and go, I'm going to leave with a win.
Yeah, dude, no, I'm a firm believer. You find out who people really are when it gets tough. Like, if you're winning every game, yeah, going to the finals is probably easy. You just smashed everybody. But playing for that third and fourth after maybe you just got like waxed hard, that's when you find out like what you got in here.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So
Yeah, we just finished up in Mexico.
yeah,
So,
well, yeah. So basically, the tournament finished, right?
right, you
So
guys
then,
took a third place.
yep. So then we celebrated, and then me and Harrison stayed an extra 3 days. And this is a fun story to talk about that I didn't really get to yet.
Oh,
You
beautiful.
you probably saw on my story, but the first trip was kind of not what we really do. That was like doing the tourist bubble thing and just being at a
Mhm.
resort the whole time. This was real Mexico. So after the event, we're in Guadalajara. We found that there's this lake about an hour south called Lake Chapala, and it's like a
Okay.
big, probably 100-kilometer lake. So
Ooh.
it's big, but not too big. I mean, kind of like Lake Tahoe size.
Mhm.
Um, not even near Lake Erie or whatever. And along the outside of this lake are just a bunch of cool little, like very authentic traditional Mexican towns. So, me and Harrison take the like $7 bus ride from Guadalajara to Chapala for the first town. And it's like we're the only white people there. That's what Harrison says. Like, we'll be the only gringos. And it's awesome. Like, just friendly locals. We get there and, we kind of just fly by the seat of our pants. Like, we don't have plans. So we walk around with our like gear bags and backpacks, and we find this little place. It's like I don't know, 400 or 500 peso hostel. So it's like, I don't know, 15-20 bucks.
Yeah.
And we, check in, cool little double bedroom place with a nice bathroom, little kitchenette, and drop off our gear bags and stuff, and keep our passports, our phones, our phone chargers on us, and then we just
So
start
you just got off the bus in whatever this
Chapala.
town is,
Yeah,
Chapala, and you got to the hostel like 15 bucks a night, 400 pesos. You drop your gear bags off. What are you guys doing next?
yeah. So then we drop our stuff off, and it's beautiful tropical weather. It's still like 80 degrees there. So all you need is like board shorts, so you can swim if you want, t-shirt, and then keep an athletic bag on you so you're not hiking around this big backpack, and
Right.
have a hoodie and a pair of joggers in there for the evening so you can go into like bars and clubs and be a little warm if it gets breezy. And other than that, your wallet, because most places take debit card, and it gives you the exact translation so you don't get charged extra converting to pesos through an ATM or whatever. Keep
That's
some pesos on you, but not all your money or your American money.
yeah.
And one of those like fanny pack things that hides under your waistband for like your ID and your passport. And so, yeah, we just walked around this town, beautiful little coastal town with like a pier and kind of like a all year round fair thing going on, like little Ferris wheels and stuff. Beautiful, beautiful scenic views, like one of the nicest sunsets I've ever seen. And for the next 3 days, we just would hop like 10 kilometers down to little towns like this they call it the chicken bus. It's like you pay 10 pesos because it's for like the local workers, like to get from their homes to like the spots where all the restaurants are, the tourist, like the one tourist beach or whatever.
Right.
So they keep it cheap for locals, but we can hop on it. It's literally, I mean, 10 pesos, that's like 50 cents for every bus ride to the
Yeah.
next town area. So you take the chicken bus down the beach road to the next little town. We go to San Juan and something else I forget the name of, and just like eat really good food. We did like a guac adventure one day where we were just looking for the very best guacamole, and
Of
then
course.
yeah, and then I think it was the second or last day we had this awesome like spa day experience to like fully decompress from playing the tournament and all that.
Mhm.
We found this spa where there's like a natural hot spring in the mountain, and they pipe and divert the hot spring waters to make a natural hot spring spa.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, like Once again, like super cool luxury experience. They don't have to heat the pools or anything like that. It's just all the pools and little hot tubs are heated. Some of them they fill with mud, some with wine, some with oatmeal for your skin. And we were there all day long, and it was $20 for a real spa day.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That. So I talked to Harrison a little bit about this. He said he did some diving. Did you do any scuba diving or anything like that down there with him?
Yeah, I did. So Harrison, he's a dive master. Like he's already been to like 25 plus dives. He's like working on his open water. But I've done plenty of snorkeling, but I've never done real scuba. And you have some beautiful like coral reefs and little islands off the coast there. So he's like, we're gonna do this. And I was like, you sure? And he's like, yep, we're gonna use one of our days and do this. And we went, and you go on this boat, you do a little test for like 30 minutes, and then there's like 30 minutes in the water where you're just sitting there right near the boat, like holding it, and they get you used to breathing underneath, clearing your mask, switching oxygen things if you have to, and going up and down with your vest. And so, yeah, like after that, you just get right to it. They, pop you on a full tank, and you go down like, I don't know, like only up to like 20 meters, maybe, like not very deep for what most people can do. But I got to say, it's like as much as it's the most beautiful, serene world down there, it is also scary as shit.
Humbling, right?
Oh, dude, that far below the surface, and like knowing all these, like the scariest part is I can hold my breath for like, I think like 3 minutes when I practice. So I could swim plenty to get up to the top if I need to. But if something goes wrong, you can't just swim right to the top because
your head will explode. Yeah.
Or your lungs will pop like balloons from the pressure, or you'll get the downs or whatever it's called. So it's like you have to let out your breath and swim up slowly, like a few meters at a time on full exhale to get to the top. And you're popping your ears every like 3-4 feet as you go down. So it's scary because you're like, I could really die if I'm careless down here.
Yeah.
So
not to mention, you're not the only predator in the water, man. You're in somebody else's home.
Yep. Sharks, barracudas. I mean, we didn't see anything big or scary like that. We saw some eels, saw like a huge, like, me-sized ocean turtle and some cool stuff.
That's sick, though.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. It really is. Now I have another reason to travel and go back to places I've been, especially in Asia, because down there it really is truly another world. And it's, God, it's like going to space or something. Like you feel like an alien in that world.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Like you said, we're land creatures, man. We're not water creatures. It's different down there.
Yep. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my Mexico trip. I mean, I had the taken care of luxury vacation. I learned to scuba, and then I did 3 days in 3 different towns with a spa day for less than $100, and that was with all the travel, food, and nights of hostels. And that's something else, for anybody out there watching, you think you need all this money to do these cool, like bucket list dream vacations. You really don't. You just have to be willing to not stay at Holiday Inn and kind of go with the flow, and also realize that these places aren't as dangerous as you think they are.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, get out and see the world. It'll really give you such a good perspective. I love traveling.
It's the best.
It's the best. But so I guess we'll get back into it where we left off on your story in our previous episode. Normally I have the numbers figured out, but I don't have them in front of me right now. But we left off right before you got on damage. So talk to us about the things going on to you getting on damage.
Yeah, this will be a fun one to get into. I have to not rant on or tangent forever, so pull me aside for questions, but I'm not going to go through every excruciating detail because I do have to go pick up a friend, my longtime teammate and friend Josh Hallberg from the airport at 7:30ish, so got to keep it to like 2 hours.
Yeah,
should be plenty, but I know with me it's like I'll go 3+ hours all day if someone is willing to keep asking questions.
I know, that's why I was laughing on the Marcelo one when they were like, and I was like, they weren't ready. They didn't know Joey B. They weren't ready.
Well, they hit me up and they're like, we got to start late, man. We got some stuff to do. And I should have let them know, like, hey, you want to do another day then? Because if we're going to start at your time, 8 o'clock, it's going to go late at night for you. And I know you're going to get tired or have to stop. And I don't know, we're going to miss a lot of story. So I realized I missed a lot on that. Like we didn't even talk about damage. So it'll be nice to, get that out here. But getting right into it,
Right.
we've talked about the first time I moved there and lived in, the ghetto and tried to get on and failed. So basically, one thing came to another. The last semi-pro team I was with was New York Extreme. Eventually, I felt like I hit a ceiling with them because we kept losing mid or late Sunday for the same stupid reasons. And, great team, very good friends, but I wanted to go pro, and this was going to be another year that it's like, well, we didn't earn the pro spot. So I was going to go do it on my own. So I moved to California. And ironically, when I got to California to play in with some of the DMG guys and see if I could figure out an opportunity over there, I was only there for about a month. And then Kyle Berry called me and he said, hey, you just missed the tryout, but the damage guys basically say you could walk onto the semi-pro team right now if you can get here in time for next week's practice, and you have a chance to earn your way onto the pro team. And I was like, cool. Packed up my stuff that night, hung out and celebrated with the friends, and the next day I started a 3-day drive across the bottom of the country alone. Drove across, stopping every like 18 hours, sleep in my car in some truck parking lot, hoping I don't get murdered or molested in my sleep, and wake up, iced coffee, back to it. I get there Friday midday, pull into CFP, talk to all the guys, and they're like, all right, well, practice starts tomorrow. And
Time to get at it.
that was the beginning. And
Yeah.
so, go ahead.
Wait, did you see anything cool on your trip? Like, I know you're probably just like going straight, but like, did you? I see any like where you guys had any time to stop and check anything out?
Unfortunately, on that one, I was like straight beelining it. I just wanted to get to Florida because I had to go, and I was like, it's going to take me about. It's already almost 2 days of driving, so it's like realistically with me and no one to switch, it's going to be about 3 because I'm going to stop and sleep 6 to 8 hours, 2 to 3 times. So there's some very cool stuff in the middle of this country on all 4 of the routes from south to north, and I've seen plenty of cool stuff. Anything from like giant 100-foot oranges to a huge T-Rex out there next to a gas station in the middle of nowhere. There's an abandoned water park, like Piccadilly Park or something like that, out when you're in the middle of the desert on the way to Vegas. So it's the first thing you pass, and it's weird. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There's no airport, and there's just this huge water park in a desert, and it's covered in graffiti. Like every square inch is graffiti. You could tell it's like the little local, those 500 person town. All the kids probably go there to like skate the pools and drink and party. So yeah, you see some cool stuff, but I'd say I missed a lot of the cool stuff that time because half the time I'm driving in the dark and you can't see anything off either side of the road. So
yeah, and the other half you're probably like such tunnel vision, you're not even like looking to the side. You just
I have my podcasts or audiobooks on to pass the time quicker than it's dragging, and I'm just looking at the road. And at night especially, I have to be super attentive, straightforward, because when you're in that middle area, like the whole desert, like Nevada through the end of the panhandle of Texas, it's like every few miles, a jackrabbit guaranteed just runs out in front of you in the road. You already tell yourself, you're like, I don't want to hit a rabbit, but I can't afford to swerve at 80 miles an hour. So it's like, if anything comes out, a deer or a rabbit, I got to go through it and hit it, unfortunately. And luckily I didn't hit one or kill anything, but had a lot of near scares where it's like, God, that thing was probably 3 feet from my front bumper. Like, it's like they're suicidal or something.
Got your heart going a little bit, huh?
Yeah. So, so I get there, and to summarize the story, I get to Florida. I have a girlfriend at the time she's about to finish up her, like in a few months, her degree, and then she wants to move down, and she's like willing to pursue me. So I don't know why, I'm a pro paintball player, but she was like, when I graduate, I want to come and move, and we'll live in Florida and try it out together. And I was like, okay, cool. And we did long distance for a while, and then she moved down, and like the craziest, most fortunate thing, I didn't know or expect it to happen, but we ended up living in her vacation home on Clearwater Beach, which was such a blessing.
That's what's up.
Living a millionaire lifestyle as a 25-year-old guy. I did not deserve it. I didn't, was very lucky, but her parents, would only go there a few times a year. So if they were there, we'd, make space for them or whatever. But other than that, we had this place literally 100 feet from the beach on like the number one tourist beach in the country, crystal clear water, sand, sugary sand, lots of stuff to do, dolphin sightings. And we just lived this lavish lifestyle for like 2.5 years while I was with the damage program. But that first year was a struggle. It was definitely a test because, I had this idea that like, hey, I'm going to really perform this first event and the pro team is going to pull me up from semi-pro. And the semi-pro team started with like 17 guys. A lot of dudes from RCK and Kings and all that of that caliber. So obviously you can only field 12. So like by the time the first event comes, we're cutting out 5 guys to our D2 team. So it's hyper competitive. And then at the event, you're not going to play 12 guys. You're going to play 7, maybe 8 rotating. And a lot of times just the first 5, if they can, as much as they can. So it was super competitive, but I was there every weekend, both days. I would do drill days, and I just earned my play time and became an every point guy for that team. And by the end of the season, I was like, man, is this going to happen? Like now we're playing World Cup. I'm still with the semi-pro team, and the event ended, and it was like that weekend they called me up and they're like, hey, we're pulling you up to the pro team. Like dude, it was like my life came together. Like it was all worth it this time. Last time I was here for a year and nothing panned out. This time it happened, and I put a lot of it on. I was competing for my spot with like only maybe 2 or 3 other guys that were ready of that caliber, and those guys now play pro, like Elias and Timmy Roberts. Spence was one of them, and he came back to the pro team for a bit. But I kind of just, it wasn't even necessarily outplaying those guys, but it was like I showed that I was the most consistently there. I was the most dedicated. I never had an excuse. It was never a hangover, and it was like I did all the check marks to be like the obvious choice. And then I got pulled up to professional Tampa Bay Damage, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, dude. So that's sick. So what was your first year pro like?
Man, it was crazy, dude. Like, anyone's first year pro is like, it's a dream come true. Like just being in that back pro pit area with all these legends around you that you might have talked to some of them here and there, but now you're like on the realm. Like now they recognize you and they immediately give you more respect of like, hey buddy, like, welcome to the real show. You made it. And, now let's see what you can do. And we're not going to make it easy for you. There's that respect, but also that like, fuck you rookie attitude.
Right.
And these damage guys are very much like that too, where it's like, you haven't earned shit yet. So do your job, rookie, and if you do your job, you get no thanks for it. So it's like, get better. And I like that. It really pushes you. So, like first event, Damage had been rebuilding for a few years when they were MacDev and they weren't doing so well. But this year it's like they have a lot of their like core vets back. They've brought on Tim Montresor to help. And then they brought me on. And it's like they're making a push to really excel. Like they're practicing more than ever. A lot of them are getting in shape. And we're doing extra drill days. We're playing Heat and Russians and Impact 3-day weekends. And so like it's serious. And so
you're
first
doing the things that you need to do to like really be good.
Yeah, you could tell they had a chip on their shoulder from like missing a lot of Sundays the past 2 seasons, which naturally they're gonna, because it was kind of rebuild years with like a lot of young rookies. But they cut the bulk of them. They only brought in me as that one rookie, and they had Montresor now, so it's like now they're gonna field a really serious team and put a little more budget out and practice more. And you could tell like the effort was there. Like we're going for a serious, competitive season again. And already I know it's like, even if I'm playing great at practice, this is a team that only ever plays their starting 5. Like there's really good dudes on the bench who are vets that don't really play a lot. So first event, I think I played like 3 points, but I remember that first point clear as day. I went out there and it came down to a 2-on-2 with me and Timmy Propes against 2, I think it was outlaw guys. So a lesser team, but still a pro team.
Right.
And I shot one of them. Timmy traded out with the other, and it just left me alive to go hit the buzzer on my first point ever playing in pro. And man, just walking over to that buzzer and hitting it and getting checked by the ref was like, holy crap, this is insane. Like, how did I get here?
Yeah, that was probably when it all became real, right?
Very. Yeah, it was like you did it. Like, the last like 17 years paid off, and now you're I had played pro NPPL and pro in Canada and overseas, but it's like now you're in that big league that everybody sees, and you didn't come out here and fuck up or get a penalty your first point. So it felt
Yep.
good.
You're there to hit the buzzer.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got 5th place that event, and it was like cool. Walking right into Sunday paintball in my first pro event. This is awesome. And then second event was similar. I think I only played like 7 points, but every point I went out there, I was like, you have to produce. You have to at least get your kill or do your job and be alive and close the point out behind Jacob or wherever,
Mm-hmm.
And that was how they'd use me a lot, is like the Dorito side front or a 2 behind Jacob on like an aggressive play, because he's going to be in the bulk of points. So I'm not going to be the front very often unless it's a specialized play or he's getting penalties or something. And it's Jacob Edwards, it's a tough shadow to get out of. So yeah, I remember that one was the first time like I got fielded against a good team. Like they put me out there against Dynasty, and me and Jason won a 2-on-3. And I remember like shooting, I think it was Frazier coming for me through the middle, and then looking around and it's just me and Jason alive and the field's clear. And it was like, oh my God, this is cool. Like I've practiced these guys. Now we're shooting these guys at the event. Like these are, legends and heroes to me. And, like respectfully, it's like they're all my adversaries now, but still you look up to and respect these guys, and you still respect their talent. And it's like, okay, sweet. Now I'm like competing with them. And I remember, I think we got knocked out by Houston Heat second round on Sunday. And I got a point or 2 in that game too. And one of them, I was like, last guy alive, like putting in Sergey and moving down the D side into Fedorov. And eventually I get picked up and shot, and we're down bodies. And it was like, okay, whatever. Well, now we're going to field other guys because we need to come back. But it's at least I didn't like screw up and get myself benched. And then
you're not getting chewed out back in the pit.
Yeah, and they never chewed me out. And like, it wasn't like they're like, great job, but it was never like, well, you're benched now. You know what I mean? Like, how did you do that? That was a stupid thing. So the third event was really where I kind of like got my breakout in pro, honestly, because those events, it's like I got chances here and there, but it was when like, okay, the other guy needs a break, or like we're up a bunch of points. The third event, we went skeleton crew. Like, because of whatever reason, we went to, I think it was Cleveland, with like 7 guys. And so the starting line is Tim, Jason, Jacob, Derula, and Silos. And rotating in there is me and Mikey Waring. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting played like every third point, like one of us. So, by the end of prelims, I think I had like 14 or 15 points. And I remember we had a rough bracket. Like, we're playing Impact, and we lost the first time, but I had like a highway move where I dunked a guy and then traded with Rainey in the corner. And I'm shooting every point. And this last game, so we're 2-1, and then we're playing Aftershock, who are not one of the better teams, but they're also kind of that team where it's like, you don't know which team you're getting, If they're hot.
All their games were always close. They're always very they lost a lot of fucking matches, but it's 4-3, 5-3,
Yep. They lose the bulk of their games, but they're also that weird team that'll upset the bracket where they'll win one game. And it's like, oh man, now a top team is 2-1-1 or 3-1 or whatever. And you're like, how did that happen? Well, the right Aftershock show up, or Karl Markowski is just having a game because he's upset. Yeah. And that was a fast, aggressive snake side layout where he could go different routes to the snake 50 constantly, and he was just launching at us. And so, I think we were down a few points, and then we came back and tied it up, and it's like a nitty gritty battle with them. And man, I'll never forget this moment. Like, it meant so much to me, and it, it shows testament to this guy. But Tim Montresor, rest in peace, like one of the biggest, best legends of the sport, and a good friend of mine, a mentor, a travel buddy. Montresor immediately called my name for the overtime point. And it was like, I didn't know why he called it. You know what I mean? Like, you have Jacob that could go in front of Jason, but I think it was because it was going to be a snake side push play. And Montresor always told me, he's like, you need to work on your winnability. Like, when you're a front guy, you need to go win points for us. But I know you'll never lose them for us. Like, at least you're consistent, you have survivability. So I think he just put me out there, like, so we wouldn't make a mistake and lose the D side. And
Right.
I lived all game. We lost one or two off break. We dragged it back, and then Carl slipped into the snake unseen and shot whoever was the last guy on our snake side. And it came down to me and Jason in a 2-on-3, and Jason traded with a guy coming down the Doritos in front of me. Like, they shot each other because the guy couldn't put Jason in far enough, and they shot each other, and it left me alive with a guy in front of me in the Doritos, and then Carl in the Snake 50 area, like kind of hiding, lurking around.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in a 2-on-1, and it's like, to sum that up, we're 2-1 right now. And if we lose this game and go 2-2, we're not making it on because it's been close games. You know, I mean, we lost a close game to Impact, but we were winning squeaker games over, like, I don't know, like Revo and other like middle, like Infamous or someone. Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is win or go home. And I remember thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I have dominance on this Dorito guy in front of me, and I don't think he's going to risk a gunfight, and Carl's eventually going to get down behind me. And it's like, in the chess move in your head is like, well, what would this Dorito guy in front of me do? Probably run the highway and just trade out. You know what I mean? Like, he might get me clean, but worst case happens, he trades with me, and then Carl wins the point. So I'm shooting the wire, and I wrap a little, and sure enough, he's running down the highway. And I blow him away, and he misses me barely. And the refs check me, and I'm good. And then I came back inside, and same thing as the Mexico event. It's like I saw Carl running down towards my start buzzer, and I had time to just put a whole lane in front of my back center and watch him go through it and catch like 5 balls and die. And I already knew the kill count, and I was like, thank you, God. I won this 2-on-1. Hit the buzzer. Plenty of time left. Walk back into the pits, and it's like, you know, the damage guys, they expect excellence. So it's like, you get nothing. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, good job.
Yeah,
that's it. There's no celebrating that we want to do. Exactly. That's what you were supposed to do. And I love that mindset from them, where it's like, you know, we got third the last event. We knocked up by heat, and we took a third. And so we went from 5th to 3rd. This event, we're going to get 2nd. And it's like, I'm excited because I'm like, whoa, I just got 2nd place with damage. And to them, it's like they're all upset because anything less than winning is disappointment. You know, I'm like, okay, that's really the chip on the shoulder mindset from this team. So yeah, we go into Sunday, and we have the Sunday grinder bracket. Like, I can't remember if it was Infamous or one of those like top like 6 to 10 teams for first off, but we beat them. And then we have Impact, and it's like, okay, here we go. Impact again. They beat us the first time. And I don't know how, but we beat the brakes off them. Like, it was by like 3 or 4 points, you know, like 7-3, I think. And it was crazy because it was like, we weren't even playing the best team paintball or having the best breakouts. But like, I remember I'd be out there sometimes with like Jason and Jacob, and we'd have no snake side, just home over, and we'd win 3-on-5s because those two were just wheeling and dealing with a vengeance back there, winning gunfights. And I'm just being alive, telling them, oh, he's coming through our side, he's coming through. And one of them would chew him up. And it was like, It was insane, man. And everybody was stepping up, having points. Silos was having his best tournament. Montresor was playing outstanding and talking super loud. You know, Darula was a sneaky snake too. And Mikey, it was rockets to get to front spots. And I can't remember which game it was, but maybe it was the first game against Infamous. But Jacob had like flipped someone off the last game on Sunday, had to sit out. And so me and Mikey are playing a lot because it's like, well, now Jacob has a 1-game suspension. So we're playing a lot, and we're earning trust. And then we get back into it, and now Jacob's back in, and we're just like chewing people up. And Jacob's pissed that he had to sit and watch a game, so he's playing on fire. And so we beat Impact and knock him out, and it's like, okay, cool, Russian Legion for first. And we go out there, and man, grinder game, like back and forth battle. We're winning points that we shouldn't, but they're outplaying us. Like, they're break shooting us way better than we are them. And they're playing more aggressive. Like, we're pretty much playing pocket paintball. Damage really doesn't play up to the center 50 with the wall at that point. The Russians would, and they'd go up there and just bait the Doritos and like give you a few, and then you'd be like, oh, I guess no one's watching. You slide into the 50, and he's just shooting you, you know? And eventually it's like 5-3 them. And they put me out for a finals game. And I was like, oh my God, sweet. He called me. My pack's on. I'm ready. I go out there behind Mikey as a 2. And Mikey goes to the Dorito 2 off break and gets shot. And I was like, I'm just going to go. And so I like immediately filled out and went down the wire. And I remember I was like, I know that young kid Samotrov is going to be just sitting here aiming at the D2 to 3 gap. And I like shot and double knee slid into the 3. And the last few balls, like while I was sliding into the 3, he wasn't in tight enough. And I hit him in the face and hopper. He was like aiming at the next gap. And as soon as I saw him get hit, I was like, I have the move to the 50. And I came around the wire, and Axel Gaudin, who's still with Russians at the time, is sitting there posted high in his Dorito 3. And I snapped him with my first ball, and he died. And I was like, oh my God. And I slid into the 50 and wrapped on where I thought Barindikov was in the snake corner. But he filled back inside to the God bunker and like waited for me and put a shot in my face. But it like blew out my whole side. And then my guys closed out the point. And now it's like 5-4 with 30 seconds left. And it's like, we could freaking win this thing. And then we had a bad breakout and we just lost just like that, 5-4. And it was, it was heartbreaking and crushing. But at the same time, I was like, man, second place in my third pro event. We've been elevating up here. Like, this is incredible. This is like the feeling.
Not bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, the rest of the season, it was kind of like our performance was like a plateau because we went 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and then back to 3rd, got knocked out by AC Dallas in, I think it was Chicago, and then back to 5th in World Cup, getting knocked out second round, first or second round. It would be second round because you're top 8 by Impact. Yeah. They got us back that game in like a 1-point brutal match. And I remember, I didn't get play time at Cup. I think I might have played 1 point when we were like way up points on Boom. And we had a big roster. We had like all 12 guys back. We had the owner, CJ Botsawas, who's going to play over anyone if you're up points on the lower teams. So you understand it. But, it was like we hit that peak. And then by the end of the season, I kind of like I sat back introspectively and like I was thinking about a lot of stuff, my girlfriend was breaking up with me like in a slow process, like kind of taking a break to see where it is. But it's like you can just tell it's not compatible. She wants to have a home life and buy a house and be a nurse. And I want to keep being a traveling pro paintball player. It is what it is.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I don't know where I'm going to live in Florida right now. I'll go home for the holidays for like the December month till New Year's and like just be with my family and figure out what I'm going to do. And, all these things were falling together in place where it's like, I remember seeing my DMG friends win World Cup. And so they win Cup. That's their 4th win of the season and they win their pro spot. It's like, man, and I could already see that kind of pathway as an option in my head because I went out to the players party with those guys Sunday night, like most of Damage left to go home with their families and kids. And they're all, kind of like, so you want to play pro with your friends? Like we could use a good role player. One of their guys is kind of like leaving for nursing school. And it's like, man, that would be cool. Like I could play pro and play with my friends. And I've always wanted to live in Northern California. Yeah, I told you I've been visiting there a lot and, doing the camping and music festivals. And on top of that, like the big thing was like, okay, if I stay with Damage, I'm going to be forced to get better. Like I'm going to try hard to get play time and practice a lot of top teams and, good budget to give me all the practice paint I need or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's kind of that thing where it's like, what I realized with other than that 3rd event is like, whether I was playing or not, any of those top 4 teams are going to do as good as they're going to do, with or without their rookie. You kind of just feel like you're along for the ride, you know what I mean? And it's like, I really wanted to get that on-field experience. I didn't feel like I deserved it more than any of those veterans, obviously, but I felt like I needed it if I was going to, become a guy that they trust. And it's like, I felt like I skipped a step by going from semi-pro right to a top 4 team rather than a younger pro team. Because I didn't really learn how to become the guy yet, and I didn't get the on-field experience to be a guy that they could plug in as a starter immediately. So I had those thoughts where it's like, hey, like your ego could hold you on this team because you're just going to keep basically like riding their coattails into podiums, even though you're on the bench. Or you could like, go to the brand new pro team in the league, play with your friends who are all kind of like in a closer place of life to you, and probably become like the starter who gets every single point and learn how to be the guy. You know what I mean?
Right. Cool. So, yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a little choppy, but I hear you.
All right, cool. So
You're
yeah,
good
what
now.
was that? What was that like? I mean, you leave New York, you go to California. So what were the first days on Damage like? I mean, it's on DMG.
Yep.
Sorry, on DMG. Sorry.
Sorry, say that again one more time. It did get a little choppy there after New York.
So no problem. Yeah. So after you left New York and you moved to California, what were the first days on DMG like?
Okay, so yeah, I left New York, and one of my friends was looking for a change too. Brandon Nickerson, he actually refs NXL Pro,
Mhm.
and he was like, I'm sick of living this corporate life. He's working at like a college campus apartment living, and having to deal with everybody and be the on-call guy at the front desk and go assist rooms and do turn and all that. And he's like, I got to get out of here. I'm sick of this. I want to try something new. And I was like, come to Cali with me. Give it a year. Worst
Yeah.
comes to worst, you just move back. It's not like it's permanent. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, great. Now I have a good friend locally to move with, so I can bring like part of home with me, and we can have each other's back and like watch out for each other, help each other like make living cheaper. So I sold my car, and we packed up his SUV with very minimal stuff, like, our paintball things and, 10 pairs of clothes. And that was pretty much it. Some sentimental stuff. And it, after New Year's, I want to say we left, and it was a Thursday, and DMG were like, well, same thing. You missed the tryout, but we all know we want you here, but you got to earn the spot in Dave's eyes. So you missed the tryout, but can you be here this weekend for practice? And I was like, yep. And I was like, Noddy, we have to leave by Thursday. And he's like, all right. So we're doing a straight shot through the center of the country, like that highway. I want to say it's the Highway 5 or 1, where when the 90 through Chicago just continues straight west through the Dust Bowl.
Yeah.
It's not the most northern route, but it's like not the southern one.
Yeah, I believe
And
it's 5.
it's
Could be
very
wrong, but I think it's 5.
5. You're right. It is the 5. And it's a very dull route because that's just the Dust Bowl. It's like all those crops and endless squares of fields and agriculture, and that's it. There's no view, there's no mountains, there's no nothing. So we get in the car, it's winter, and luckily we have this space behind my passenger seat where it's like we laid down that seat so you could drive for 4 to 6 hours, get in the back and lay down and get a real sleep, not in a seat while the other person drives, and then get back in the front seat, have like wake up for a little bit, have an iced coffee, chit chat with the other person, and then they switch back while you're still driving or when you pull in for gas, like every half tank or whatever. And we're like, let's just go straight through. No sightseeing, no stops, no nothing. Like if there's a cool scenic pullover, we'll stop and like get a picture, 10-minute view and stretch, but that's it. Yeah. And so I kid you not, we drive through the country. This time, this was like the nicest of all 6 times I've driven through the country. As soon as we were out of Chicago, there was like no snow. Like there was maybe snow on the ground because it was December or January, but it wasn't snowing. So we were doing like, anywhere from 80 to 100 on the open thruway the whole way. And we made it from Buffalo to Northern California, like coming into Grass Valley above Sacramento, where my buddy Tim lives. We made it there in 33 hours flat.
Wow. Holy smokes. That's a drive.
Yeah. Literally, it was a drive. I mean, we were hauling ass. I've heard you can get there faster, people who do like the sports car cross country race, but we didn't stop for any restaurants. That way we wouldn't get like sluggish and lethargic or have to go to the bathroom. We only stopped for gas every like half tank, and his car is pretty good on gas. And the only thing we had the whole way was like water, iced coffee, and like trail mix for energy, just like light snacks. So 33 hours later, we get to California. It's like Friday evening or something like that because we left mid-Thursday. and we go to sleep, and then I wake up and go right to the field, and Saturday, Sunday begins with damage.
You're a
And,
savage, dude. You're a
this was
fucking
crazy.
savage.
1 second, you broke up there a little.
I said you're a savage, man. You're a savage, dude. I can't believe you. Like, just driving
Yeah.
30 straight hours,
Yeah.
and then Jesus, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. They were a little surprised too. They're like, wait, didn't you just say you left like Thursday at, I don't know, noon or something like that? And I was like, yeah. And now we're here. And we, had some pizza and drank a beer to like take the edge off, and passed out. Slept from like, 9 till like 9:10 the next day. Went to practice. It's off season, so you don't have to get there super early. It was like a 10 or 11 start.
Right.
And I remember that day. That day is burned into my mind too, because in my mind, I'm driving across. I just left a team that was third overall in the world, like all podium finishes,
Mm-hmm.
for the new semi-pro team to play with all my friends. Like, it's not like I moved here to play for DMG. I moved here to play with the group of friends that I wanted to play with that I've been visiting.
Right.
And whether they were any jersey, it didn't matter the jersey. I wanted to play with those guys in pro. And when I got there, I think Dave wanted to see what I was made of. And I still respect him for doing this, because it had to draw a lot out of me. But Dave goes, so we have a divisional camp, and we have guys who have been here and been loyal and trying to fight for, spots from the semi-pro team for years. And we can't let you just walk on the pro team, because what does that say to other people? Like, they're going to be here like committing loyalty and thinking that we can pull from within, and we're just going to grab some other pro player from a different state. We get it that we know you moved here. That shows commitment, but like, prove why you're better than these 8 or 9 guys.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not on this pro team. But in my head, it's like, this is still January. The event is in March normally. I was like, I still have like 2 or 3 months to like earn this spot.
Right.
And he's even kind of saying, he's like, I could also kind of use a leader, like a role player and leader, to like guide the semi-pro team. So I almost kind of want you to play an event or two with them, show why we're going to take you off that team, and like give them some mentorship and direction, because they're all talented, but they don't know what they're doing in semi-pro. They're like mostly D2 guys. And I was like, all right, I understand that. Well, I'll humble myself and play an event with them. But the next, like, I think it was only like 4 or 5 weekends, I'm playing with semi-pro against my friends, and I'm either shooting them and winning the points for us, or I'm the last guy alive every single point, day in and day out. Just grinding with these dudes who are like good. So yeah, like, these guys are good, but like, obviously they're just like, this other team just dominated semi-pro, and 4 out of 5 events. And now these new guys who are filling out the semi-pro team, only a few of them even played semi-pro. There's like D2 and D3 guys on the team. So like, we're just getting outclassed, and of like 30 points a day, we're winning like 5-7 points. And it's like, I have to win 1-on-2s against my guys to win these points, or I have to like charge down a side before they just chew all my guys up. And all the other points, we're just getting smoked, in the breakout, in the mid game. But in that 3 or 4 weeks, I remember the anxiety of like, okay, did I make the right decision here? Am I going to get pulled up? Are they going to lead me on all season? Like, is there a politics I have to overcome? And beyond that, I remember in that road trip across, and this was kind of cool foreshadowing to what we're going to talk about later, like my move. Hinman and A-Rod had called me up, and, they had brought Aftermath back that season, and they're like, next year, we want to go for a run, put everything we have into it, get the right guys, and go pro. And we'd like you to be on the team. So they're asking me to play on a team that's about to be semi-pro next year. But it's like, these are 2 dudes that I respect a lot, asking me to be a part of Aftermath because they like my attitude and like my positivity for the game. I'm like, oh my God, I think I was in the car and I'm like, was that a mistake? Did I just turn that down? And now I'm going to be with a worse semi-pro team below the pro team I came to play here with? Like, I'm going to go home and be living on one of these pro guys' couch and then be playing against them every weekend for a summer. This is going to suck.
Yeah.
But like, I just stayed positive and just kept like really showing why I was a competitor. And I think it was the week before the layout weekend, and they said, you know what, this is going to inevitably happen this season anyways, so let's just jump the gun and do it.
Yeah.
The pro team only has 6 guys right now. We're pulling you up, Joe. You're the 7th guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, whew,
Finally, right?
whew, get to start. Yeah, I'm not back in semi-pro. Like, I'm going to continue in pro for this next season. And I'm playing with the guys I like, and told all the semi-pro guys, like, hey, I'm still here for you. If you need direction, keep me in your group chat. I'm going to see you guys and help you every weekend anyways. But, like, hopefully it's no hard feelings. I know you guys all want to move up too, but I drove across the country to play with these guys. They're my best friends. And they were like, nope, it's cool. We get it.
Yeah.
You know, you deserve it. And that's what you're here for. We knew you weren't trying to make a new pro team with us. And it was just very like smooth. And they were very, you know, like respectful and like chill about it. So easy transition. And it seems the DMG camp is always like that because it happened again. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, any questions until this point? I know I kind of ranted about all that.
No. I thought that was great. Like you were saying, like you could, like I think it was great when you were like really having a mental joust in your head where you were like, "Fuck, yo, did I make a mistake right now?" But you were like, "No, I just gotta tough it out, and it'll work out where it's supposed to be in the end," and it did.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
That's
what I
really
think we're saying. Sorry, this is the third event. So going into this third event, this is the first time you're playing with the pro DMG guys. How did that event go for you?
no. This is before the season even started. Like it
Oh,
was.
okay.
Yeah. No, I didn't play a single event with. I thought I was gonna have to play an event or two, but before the first layout weekend dropped for Vegas, they were like, "You're gonna come up to the pro team for the whole season," and it was like,
Oh, there you
"Sweet."
go. Yeah, there you go. So you
Yeah,
haven't played long at all.
yeah. So I played like maybe 4 or 5 weekends with them at practice against the pro team and against Impact one weekend, their spring training. But I never played an event with the semi pro team. I got to start right where I belonged with my pro team. And, you know, I believed it was going to work out that way. In the back of my head, I was like, I'm not going to play an event with these guys. Like, I'm going to show why. And then everything worked out where it's like, you can call it law of attraction or manifesting or whatever, but I just believed I was gonna. I put in the effort and commitment over the other guys to show why it should happen. And then I went to the pro team, and it's like, finally, I'm with the guys that I moved here to play with, and now I'm with them shooting at these other guys. Since I'm coming, you know, I'm catching rides to them to the field from our house, anyways, and it worked out, man. It was perfect, and so yeah, we get into that season, and now it's like this was the season. Like now I have to prove myself as I'm gonna get a lot of play time. Like I played every point that first event as a snake side 2 behind Brustleback. Right off the back, they wanted me as a starter, and it's like, okay, on damage, you're gonna do as good as you do, but out here, you make a mistake, and you're all the new guys in the pro league. Like it's gonna be costly. You know, these guys aren't gonna win the 3-on-5s without you. So, or they might, but it's like none of us, even you know me out there, we're just. It's not like you're playing with veterans. We have a long learning curve, and like I remember our first match of the tournament in Vegas was Russian Legion, and we brought them into overtime and then lost it. But it was like, okay, we can do this, and I get to be out here producing towards these like winning points or winning matches, rather than just like you know kind of being along for the ride. And that was cool, man. It made me work a lot more. Like I wasn't learning as much as with damage, but now I have to be out there like producing. I'm getting the experience, and that whole first year was like that. Like it was all 2-and-2s on the bubble, not making it, you know, because of point margin. But like,
Mhm.
hey, we're beating the teams we should in our bracket. We're beating like the, you know, the ML Kings or like the lower 5 area. We're losing close games to whatever Russians and Heat. All of our Heat games in the last 3 years have went to overtime. Kind of a weird fact. So yeah, we're competitive with the top teams.
Yeah,
The only team that ever seems to blow us out is X Factor for some reason, maybe just stylistically. I don't know.
that's okay. I think a lot of teams have that problem. I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah, every team has that team that's just kind of their Achilles heel, and every team has that team where they should beat you on paper. You know, Houston Heat will win an event, but earlier in that event, they'll barely beat us in an overtime game in the
Mhm.
last point by the you know skin of their teeth. And it's like they'll give us respect and be like, man, you guys made us fight for that one. And then they'll get better from it that next game and beat a top team like Damage or Impact or whatever. So it's weird how that happens, but First year was a lot of 2-2s and disappointments. Even World Cup, we went 2-2, but we had some good plus minus, and so we went to final or Sunday, and it was like, you probably remember this. We played on Sunday, and it was like, sweet, first season, like we made a Sunday. That's we're making progress. Check one off the list. And
Right.
who do we play on Sunday? Take a guess.
Let's see if I remember. I think it was either Russians or Impact.
That's the next year. No, who would it be fitting that we play on Sunday on on DMG?
I'm gonna say if it was for you, it'd be Damage.
Yes. So we play Damage, and it's that layout where it's like, basically, if you're in the snake, you go right to the 50, and it's just a trade out bunker fest back and forth. And Brusselback is having the event of his life. Like, we didn't, they beat us this game, and so we don't make it in top 8, but Brusselback is like the 8th overall in kill count, and like he has like a +2 margin because he's always shooting at least one, but sometimes he's getting 2, 3, 4 packs, but he never does anything without at least trading out. So Tim is on fire for us. The team is firing on all cylinders. Our break shooting is pretty solid, and we're going back and forth with Damage. And it's like, I have no ill will towards them, but it means a lot because it's like, man, if I can beat my alma mater, like the guys who raised me in pro first year, like, it's not to like do anything wrong to them. It's not like, yeah, I beat you, but it's like, whoa, like the Padawan beat the master. So it meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And we're going point for point. And I remember we're winning every breakout. Like, we're always in 5-on-4 or 4-on-3, and we're always at the 50s, but it's Damage. Like, even if they're all in the pocket, you're playing the master gunfighters and like the kings of slowing the field down, and they're just chewing us up out of the good spots and winning points they shouldn't. I really think they didn't like decisively win 1 point, but they won a bunch of points they should not have won, and we gave away a bunch of points that we were winning positionally, and we only won a few that we were winning positionally, and we closed it out right. But we're a bunch of young rookies, so we're rushing the close, and we're getting chewed up trying to go stick guys by guys who are crossed up, and so they beat us by like a point and knock us out, and we take 7th or 8th place or something, or it must have been 9th place because it was first round. I don't know, maybe, I don't know if we were wild. Yeah, we would have been wild card 2-2. So yeah, like 9th place, and end the season on like, okay, hey, just take it as it is. Like, we've already gotten that far. We won half of our matches this season since 2-2s, and we made a Sunday. Like, let's just get better from here.
Right. You showed you belong and nothing else.
Yes. And there were plenty of teams you've probably remembered over the last years who their first year, even 2-3 years in pro, they would just get beat to crap. Like 187, it took them a few seasons to make a Sunday. Chattanooga CEP barely ever made a Sunday in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious took a while to make Sunday. Like, there was a lot of teams. There's still teams like Boom and Outlaws that like rarely ever make Sundays, and people forget those teams have been in pro for like 6-7 seasons. So we were like, okay, we're on the right track here. Like, let's just keep getting better. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is a team where we're going to bring up guys from the feeder team, but I'm never going to lose these core homies around me. Well, World Cup ends, and like within a few weeks, we lose Tim Brusselback to Impact, which it's like, hey man, we don't want to lose you, but you have to take this opportunity. Like, you're our friend, so take the money. Like, please, we're happy for your success. And we all told him to go and support him. He went. And then same thing with Thomas Kim. He got the good deal from Ironman, and he left. And then Andrew Wyatt left as well. Like, he had to move home to Alabama for some family things, but he left and eventually went to Aftermath, who came into pro next year. And we're like, you all three have to do what you got to do. But those were 3 of the 5 guys that I came here to play with.
Yeah.
And we kind of also realized at the end of the season that like, oh, well, Thomas was our player coach. Somebody has to fill the coaching role. So my last good friend, Josh Hallberg, became like the captain coach, and all of a sudden wasn't really giving himself much play time because he wanted to focus on the meta game,
Right.
So we go into this next season, and now I look around and there's a bunch of new semi-pro on me, and none of the guys that I had just played all these points with last year and got experience with. And in your head, it's like, it's going to be a rough rebuild season. Like,
Yeah.
all right, let's see what we can do. And first event was bad, like 1-3. Second event, the layout was fitting, and Josh played with me a lot in the pocket, like crossed with me talking. And we went to Sunday. We went in 3-1, like beating a bunch of good teams like Ironman, Infamous, and then one team we should beat, and then we lost to, like, I don't know, Dynasty or someone, and then we lost. So we make it past the what's it called, the wild card round, and then we lose an overtime point to Houston Heat because we forgot about where one guy was in the backfield, and he shot like three of us. Like, we lost the point.
Yeah.
We should have cleaned it up and closed it out better. And Sam Monville had the point of his life and saved their day in World Cup, or not World Cup, but saved their second event. So we get a seventh place. And then the next two events are like 2-2 again, kind of on the bubble, getting knocked out. Finally go to World Cup, and we are beast mode in prelims. Like, we beat Thunder, we beat Infamous, we beat Boom, we lose to Impact, and then we go to Sunday, and we lose 5-0 to Impact, but every point is like 3-4 minute points that are like nail biters back to down to the last 2-3 bodies,
Right.
And it's like, okay, we did it again. We survived what should have been a bad year. We have a bunch of new guys trying to figure out their roles. We're missing a lot of core, and somehow now we made 2 Sundays. So let's just keep on track. Like, next year, let's double up again and try to make 4 Sundays.
Right.
So what happened at the beginning of this year?
Yeah, I mean, the vid shot everything down. I mean, I can't remember how your Vegas was, but it was pretty much just Vegas.
Yep, that was it. We had a disappointing Vegas. Once again, we had Mike Urena on the team before as like our snake player lead, and then he went to Dynasty, and it's like, man, every time at the end of the year we get good again and get decisive for World Cup, and our snake guy just gets poached. So we lose Urena, and it's like, who's going to step up in the role now? Coming to the Vegas event, and we have a new coach too. This guy Chim, who's coached them in divisional but has not coached any type of pro paintball. Great guy, but like, we gave him the reins for the first 2 matches, and we got beat up by Impact and AC Diesel. And then the next day, Josh took the reins back and like kind of like had Chim near him, and he's like, I'm going to show you how to coach the team. And just Josh sat himself and played us, and we had a much better second day. Like, we beat Uprising, who just went like 3rd or 4th in Cup, and then we lose a 1-point overtime game to Houston Heat. So it's like, it's a little too late. Like, yeah, we're 1-3, but if we won that overtime, we would have went 2-2 and probably moved on, because we would have beat Heat and Impact beat Heat. So we would have maybe moved on, and maybe they didn't move on, or they take the wild card because of good point minus. I don't know. But we were that close to moving on. It's like, okay, the team is still competitive in another rebuild. And then I go home. I'm about to leave to go to Panama, Colombia, Mexico on like the South American League tour. And 2 days later, COVID shuts everything down and just destroys the whole season.
Destroyed everything.
Most people's lives, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, a lot of people. So, but I mean, going into, like I said, there's something that I definitely want to ask you. I know you got to go as soon as you actually have to pick Josh up from the airport. But one of the things
I got about an hour, so we're good.
Oh, okay. I thought we only had like another 20 minutes. Perfect. But something I want you to definitely touch on is you were talking about what it's going to be like to be coached again, and be like, yes, Josh was the coach of them, but he was also a player. So what's it going to think it be to you as a player to be coached by Mike Kidman and be like have someone to direct you? You could go back to being a soldier.
Yeah, I hope he watches this too. He's watched my other 2 interviews, and he likes picking the brains of his player and getting to know who they are and stuff. And, I'm going for my first practice next weekend, so I'll be staying at his house, and we'll get to learn each other more. And me and Mike have had a good relationship since that first time he reached out 3 years ago now. And we've always talked while he's been in our pits, and, I had these little conversations where it's like, he's even said, he's like, man, I would always love to coach you. You seem like a good kid and potential, and I coach tough way, but if you can handle it, I would have liked to coach you, but our paths never cross. And it was weird because it was almost like it was all foreshadowing to this. And then the situation happened, and it's like, dude, I cannot wait to be coached again. Because on, DMG, it's like I was coached by Josh or Thomas. Like they're calling the play calls, but we're all about as good as each other. So it's like you're not really learning from anybody who's has a proven track record. And Mike is the king of bringing divisional teams into pro, turning pro teams into championship teams, and turning good players into great players like Mouse and Marcelo and Rainey and Dalton and
So
Bobcat, and the list goes on. So many of those young, hungry players are now proven vets because of Mike Hinman.
Right.
So the other thing about, on top of getting a direction where it's like, now I just get to be a soldier and the guy telling me, hey, this is the play, this is your job, do it till this. And it's like, cool. Yeah, I'm just the tool. You're going to program me to do the right thing to play. I love that part of his and any of like those top level coaches like him, Dave, Skinny K, Rusty, Paul Richards, rest in peace, Joey Blute, any of those top 8 guys, Ryan Brand, you know what I mean? They are mathematical chess masters, and I want that so that I don't have to think about, man, I'm gonna have to go through trial and error on these layouts to learn the best way to play this field. I have a guy who just looks at it, decides the X's and O's, and says, oh, this is your skill set, go do that. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna need out of you,
Right.
But bigger than that is like when you have a coach who's not one of your friends or a player coach, and a guy who's just standing there with a clipboard, like he's not trying to figure out how he's going to get his own playtime out there. He only is coaching, and so he is going to demand accountability out of you. If you make a dumb mistake and you fuck up, you're going to know about it. You're going to get yelled at. And with Mike Hinman, you're going to get really yelled at. So it's going to keep me on my toes of like, okay, I can't be lazy or sloppy, or why did I do that even though I know that was the risky move? I should have just did the textbook move or did what he said to do rather than try to be creative, and beyond that, it's like on top of him yelling at you for doing dumb things, a guy like Mike Hinman is going to yell at you for losing a 1-on-3 against Dynasty because he's just going to always want more out of you. Like you're never going to get a good job for winning or for getting it close. Instead, you're going to get a hey, you should have done this. Next time, do this, this, and this. This is what I expect out of you. I demand it. Go do it. And it's like, yep, okay, keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better. And I really feel like now that I'll have a high-level coach and one who demands excellence out of everyone who's ever played for him, and the guys who are too soft to take his play style fall off or quit, if I have that guy behind me and I just remember like, hey, don't take any of this personal. He just wants more out of you. I feel like I'll finally get past this plateau I've been stuck in, and really reach my true potential. And I'm excited for that.
Dude, I hope so, dude. I hope so. Like, cause you're right. Like, you're kind of like, it might be a bad metaphor, but it seems like with Mike, is you're gonna be more like you're a grade on a paper. Like, I don't care if you think you're a 9. If paper says you're a 7, bro, you're a 7, and you got to play better to get to a 9. And he's not gonna sugarcoat it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. No sugarcoating. Exactly. Not a bunch of good job participation trophies. Not that really anyone in pros like that, but with him, it's like it's so much stricter where it's like I've seen him before do it where his team will win points, and rather than like nice point guys, and this is, you don't have time to do this at the events, but at practice, he's yelling at them because it's like, dude, you guys could have closed that out a minute earlier. You guys were 5-on-2, 5-on-3, and you all just sat there waiting to shoot the guys. Why didn't you get here and help that guy make the move to go stick this guy and just end the point? And it's like, I can't wait for that because he's gonna show us, hey, you're doing the right thing, but here's how you continue to pick up the pace and get to that. I'm sure you've noticed in pro paintball, there's 2 differences, and you always notice it a lot in the pro finals game, but even coming into the finals games, like when 2 of the lower 10 teams are playing each other, they're playing pro paintball, they're doing the right moves, but they're doing it at like half speed. But when you see Dynasty, Impact, Heat, Russian Legion play against each other, there's like this extra 6th gear where it's like, boom, I'm here. I put him in, I go, no hesitation. They take, you give them an inch, they take a mile. They don't go bump by bump if they know they have dominance. And they're not taking giant bites with their gun down and getting shot in lanes, but they're they capitalize exactly like a pro player should, rather
Mhm.
than just like slow, methodical, don't make mistakes, which is kind of more the semi-pro mindset of like do the right thing, but like, hey, don't make a mistake. The pro mindset is like, hey, be confident in your abilities. If you have the advantage, fucking capitalize before you lose the window.
Right. No, it seems like for sure, like those top teams are, when the window's open, they're way more confident to take it. I suppose you see people who might see that window, but they're like, no, my job is to whatever, shoot this lane, like not make this bump per se.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So I mean, that why I'm why I'm most excited. I mean, I've always wanted to play for Hinman. In all of our conversations, I was like, man, I don't see how that's going to happen playing for Damage or DMG, but who knows? Things change every year in pro paintball. Maybe in the future I'll play for him. And he's one of those dudes where everyone, even other legends in the game, would love to check that off a list where it's like, yep, I played for Mike Hinman.
Right.
And I've always wanted to have the app too, because that's such a legendary name with this big, not a status behind it, but it's like it's a team that is just it breeds success and high level pro players. But the biggest thing I want is to reach my full potential. I try not to have an ego. Like I try to stay humble, and I don't think I'm the best player in the world, and I'm not trying to be the Ollie Lang of the league. But I know that I'm a hard worker and I'm a fast learner, and I have skill sets. I have gun skills and all that. So I feel like since I am willing to take the personal thing out of it and I can learn quickly and put in the work, I really feel like I can reach the potential to become like one of those legendary players that you see in the game. With the right time underneath a guy like this.
No, dude, I see it for you. I mean, your brain is just beautiful. Like the way you just process things, like you have this never quit mentality. Like, I don't know. I can't see you not reaching your goals just because of the way you think.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I won't let you down. I promise that. I can tell everybody that. I can look you all in the eye. Anybody watching this, any of my friends, family, fans, supporters, past teammates, I will not be letting you down. I don't squander opportunities like this. When I go to a team like this, I'm not going to give in to stress. And I can say this because it holds me accountable, saying it out loud to people and the universe and reality that provides it. I will make you proud because I'm not going to allow myself to settle for less than reaching the potential that this is going to force me to become.
Dude, you're the best. You're the fucking best, bro. I love you. So tell me a little bit about what's it like to play with Tim again. You reunited with Tim. You kind of broke the news a little bit on the thing because I was listening when you said it and you were like, "Oh yeah, we got Tim coming back." And I was like, "Wait, that's
Yeah.
not, I don't think that's knowledge yet." I followed this pretty closely. I didn't know that.
Yeah. We talked about it. Me and Tim talked about it. Me and Mike talked about it. And they were like, yeah, you can break the news even before the NXL alert does it. And I'm surprised they haven't yet. But yeah, so, I moved over here and Tim was one of those guys I wanted to play with badly. I think you heard the story about why I wanted to play with Josh. We won a 2-on-5, crossed up against all pro players, high level pro players. And it was like, okay, this is a guy I want to play with because we have good chemistry and work with. But man, for like, I want to say like 6 seasons in D1 or semi pro, whether it was PSP or NXL, and pro and PPL because he was on explicit. I've been playing against Tim, and he's been a friendly rival and a good friend that I've like done a lot of like stuff with when I visited. And Tim, it's like Alex Goldman is like the known snake front player, Chad George, guys like that, because they are these explosive speed demons. And it's not that Tim isn't fast, but Tim isn't the guy to do end-to-end runs. Tim is the guy to get into the snake unseen and make it count. Like I call it he's like a serpent in the snake because he slithers very carefully down the wire, never touches a bunker and gives away which notch he's in. And then he picks his time. It's quiet, comes up, shoots 3-4 people in the side of the head. That's the only hopper he's shot all game, and he wins the point for you time and time again, And he's also willing to be that guy, like on that World Cup layout years ago, 2018, where he's going to get to the 50 one way or another, off break, or he's going to sneak his way in there. and then he's going to try to stick that guy before he gets him. Like, he's very proactive. You see him do this thing where he crawls down the wire all the time with his gun ready and just crawls by and sticks the other guy in the butt because he can hear them shooting inside. And, at the worst, he trades out. But at the best, a lot of times, because he goes for them rather than waiting and protecting himself for the trade out, he gets them clean, and then he's in their snake and he's protected. And as long as you keep yelling Viper, like your snake's clear, no one in the corner in front of you, he'll come up and shoot the entire team for you 2 out of 3 times. So I was like, God, I want to play with this guy so bad. And then when he left after that first year, when we had so many good points together, where I would just like dump my pack and watch him come up and then just watch a bunch of people walk off along the sidelines. And I'm like, yep, Tim's doing what he's supposed to do and making it easy for me. I just got to keep yelling, I got you, and dumping paint. Like, this is easy to clean up behind this dude. And when he left, it was like, oh man, okay, I get it. You went to Impact. You gotta. And then when he left that team, it's like, okay, you're going back to play with your original team, Uprising. You played in 7-man with them. You live near them in Washington before you moved here. Like, those are longer time homies than DMG guys for Tim, at least. So yeah. I totally get it, man. And they're giving you a good deal. Cool. But this time it was an option, and it was like, whoa, we can get the 3 amigos back together. And God, I am so stoked to play with Tim. And I've expressed this to him, on New Year's. We celebrated together New Year's and the move back to this team together and all this. And he knows it, and he's excited to play with a gun dominant role player behind him again that knows the way he plays, where, other teams have kind of like put him in these system roles where it's like, hey, you're going to go here and shoot this bounce shot until this happens. But if you know Tim, you're squandering his ability by not just telling him, hey, if the move's there, he can do a job, he can slow play. But Tim wants to be told, like, hey, if the move's there and you can get in the snake, we're going to make it now a snake push, and we're going to watch over you, and you can feel free to go win the game, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to go shoot everybody in the head.
Hey, Tim, go play paintball. Just go play paintball.
Yeah. We'll take over your job. The 4 of us will just do jobs. You go play paintball. Go do what you do. Be sneaky. Use your one shot talent. And I'm excited to play with him again. All 3 of us are super excited to get back together, and I really feel like that's the other thing is, like, it's not even just that, like, we're all pretty good at paintball or whatever. I think the big thing there is kind of like, you look at those trios or quads in the past of guys that stayed together as package deals when they moved. Like at one time it was the Philly American group, Montresor, Moorhead, Monville, and Chad George. They went to Aftershock. Shock started doing good. They all went to Impact. Impact became dominant. Some of them go to Houston Heat. Heat starts winning again when they all came over. They weren't doing so good when a bunch of guys went to Art Chaos. Now they get these group of guys. They're crushing it. And there was this group of guys like Greg Sewers, Damian Ryan, Trevor Reeser, and Brad McCurley, who were like infamous for a while. And then they went to Ironman, and they were decisively winning, and you'll just see these like little groups of guys. And by no means are we a trio that has that much experience, but it's like you keep those 3 together and you already know they have chemistry and they can play off each other well. Now you just got to fill in the weapons or role players around them,
Yeah, no, so much is to be said for chemistry. Like, the art of working together, the nonverbal communication that happens with chemistry, all that kind of stuff, like, is a big deal, and a lot bigger deal than people lead on to. Like, Marcelo talks about this all the time. Like, bro, if you're not like cool enough with the dudes on your team that you can't go out to eat with them afterwards, I honestly don't think you're ever going to be successful, because you're never going to have that kind of like closeness to be able to pull together as a team. This is a team sport.
Yes. Yep. Perfectly said. Very, very well said, Travis. That's the thing is, like, people wonder why all-star teams don't succeed immediately. Well, it's because, like, let's look at some of these top teams. Their dynasty could grab, let's say, a guy or 2 from one of the other top 8 teams that might be on paper or like stats from the last few events better than a guy in one of the spots on their team. But those dudes on dynasty, like the core 4, have been playing together forever. So that that's something it's not really tangible. It's like, well, how well are you going to play with me? Yeah, that other guy might be able to go get 3-packs pretty often, but if he doesn't know how to just sit back and play with me, like connect and talk and play off of me, then he's just going to go out there and play his own individual game. And, like Dynasty is a team like that. Those core groups that I just mentioned moving around are like that. Damage is very much like that, where that team has been playing together for since 2007 or 8, like winning through semi-pro, coming up already as a winning team in pro because they just played and won together already. And people don't know a lot of that group came from Strange and what was that other team? Raiders, Jacksonville Raiders, like LP Everett, Holiday, Timmy Probst, Montresor back on Strange. A lot of those dudes have been playing pro paintball together for like 20 years in X-Ball. So it's natural that they could pull out the budget and buy a Fedorov or something like that, but you could also just keep playing with guys that you know how to play paintball with.
Right, get that system guy. And that's when you see like a lot of people like don't have like big overhauls. Like you're talking about Dynasty, and like they have the ability to bring in someone like a Mike Urena because he can sit for a little bit like, hey, listen, dude, watch us work and see what we do and then try and figure it out. And they have time to like granted COVID happened last year, but you could see him like he didn't get like a lot of playing time because he was being like brought into their system. Same thing with the Damage guys. You see, Jason and a lot of those guys been there for a long time, so they can bring somebody in and have them sit and wonder, like, this is how we do things, and then when you're ready, well, you can come in.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're talented, if they see you have potential, and especially if you're an attacker with winnability, then cool. They have the opportunity, kind of like what Damage did for me, or what Dynasty just did with Urena, where it's like we can bring him in and we can train him to become the guy we need. And if he's not ready yet, it's okay, because if we have to keep playing the veteran, we'll keep playing him. And if the young guy keeps dying off break, the other 4 of us still have more than a chance to win. But we do need to keep bringing in this one guy here and there and like grooming him, because eventually we're all getting older and we're going to retire and the team will fall apart if we don't do it to these guys. Now, we can't bring in 3, 4, 5 new guys at a time, but we can bring in 1. And that was an issue with DMG for me, is like, we didn't really, you're a new team in pro. And we proved to be like a middle of the bracket team early. But teams like that in the top 8, they can bring in a guy and take risks on him because that team is already stacked with veteran leadership. Whereas a team like us, whenever you lose your snake guy that you already know how to play with, and then you have to spend a whole new year grooming this other guy to play like you do, and you don't even play great pro paintball yet. You're just showing them. You're catching them up to your speed, and that's not Dynasty speed. So it's like for us, we're like trying to catch up to these pro teams that are way better than us, and they're still getting better. And then you lose a guy, and it's like, uh-oh. And then you have to bring it back again and catch that new guy up to your pace, and then the team can catch up as a team again. And it's just this constant ramping of like plateaus that hold you back, and it's frustrating, and it's like, okay, starting over again, kind of a rebuild, couple bad events, getting used to new roles and playing with this new guy and him learning our system. And none of us are even veterans who really know how to win a pro tournament yet. Like, we haven't even made it past the first round of Sunday. So, I felt like every time we did that, we didn't really have time to do it, because it's just like, well, we're not going to make progress off last season. We're just going to make progress again throughout this season. And COVID, fortunately, we had time with like new semi-pros and all that to really like train without the pressure of like losing events in the training. Like, we're just getting experience without taking losses. And then fortunately, we didn't really talk about this, but Harris Hussein, big shout out to him and Jeremy Solom, they started doing those invitational events. And man, that's a lifesaver for a middle of the pack or lower team, because there's no upper team showing up to those. They either don't want to use their budget, or they're going to take this time to be with family. So you go to those events and it's only ever like 6 to 8 teams, and we're the better teams there, like us or NYX or Thunder. And all the other teams are like, no disrespect to them, but they're like the bottom 4 to 6 teams. You know what I mean? They're the teams that generally just don't make it out of their bracket. They go 0-4, 1-3. And So yeah, we went to those events, and it's like, well, now we can give these guys on the bench more play time and take risks on them, but we can also still play the matches where it's like, okay, hey, it's too close or we're falling behind. All right, back to starting five. Let's play to win because we want to prove that we're better than these teams. And that was, dude, it was such a blessing, man. And it was such a monkey off our back to go out there that first one in Kentucky and like win the event decisively. You know, we just went 6-0, didn't have to play a tiebreaker with NYX or anything like that. And once again, I'll say it so nobody thinks wrong. Like, you know, it doesn't really mean anything compared to an NXL event because it's like, all right, you're just kind of on paper beating these teams you should. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like that fulfillment of like winning a World Cup or even a Vegas because it's like, all right, well, now let's see what happens if Houston Heat were to show up and play with all these like lower tier teams. They'd probably just beat, they'd beat the crap out of all of us. And at the same time, it feels good because it's like, well, a win's a win. It's a confidence boost.
Right.
It's showing that we have consistency, like winning 6 games in a row. And it's winning in pro. They're all pro teams, so at least it's an event, what I mean? And then the second event was like kind of more of the test. And this is where what I was talking about, where it's like, well, what happens when you throw a top tier team or two in there? So the second event happens and the Golden State Kings come, which are not a US pro team. They're a Euro pro team, but it's a star-studded team. It's a team of half guys who've played with each other on Dynasty. Go ahead.
Marcelo, Spica, Ryan plays on the team. I mean, it's fully loaded.
Yarber, who else has been on that team? Rainey.
Yep.
It's just a stacked roster. And all those guys have played with each other in real pro events in Europe and won pro events over there over like Impact and Heat. So it's like, okay, they're not a real pro team here, but they're a real team and they've won events.
Mm-hmm.
And we play against them and, we will beat all the other teams, but we lose to them. And we didn't even care if we lost every other game. But we were like, this is the test. Like this invitational, let's give other guys more playtime in like the weaker games, but let's play who we have to play and take down this Kings team because that'll be a statement to the NXL teams. And then we'll be taken more seriously when we get back there. And we go out there and, we gave a good fight, but we lost. And we take second overall. It's like, well, that shows you where you stand right there. Like, welcome back to playing with the big dogs. This is what we have to do to start. And still to this day, I don't believe in 3 years DMG has beat a top 8 team like that. We've had overtime games. We've had 1-point games with Russians and Heat and all these teams. We rarely get blown out, but we've never actually won one. And losing that game just was kind of like, a kick in the stomach of like, damn, that was our chance.
Yeah.
And World Cup came around and we did not perform. We lost some games that we actually could have won. Same thing. We played damage in prelims and we had good position plenty of times. Threw away points closing, lost a close one, lost some points to Infamous that we should have won. And were close with Impact early and then let them just take it away and only won 1 game to NRG Elite, who, whatever, it's like on paper, no disrespect to them, but we should be beating that team.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then at the end of that season, it kind of led into this transition we'll talk about where it's like, okay, all these same issues are here. Like, we're probably going to lose a guy or two again. We have out-of-towners and stuff like that. Josh is starting to burn out on just being a player coach. Like, to play and coach, he can't focus on his own game. To coach, he's missing paintball,
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, offers came. We've both always gotten offers, but they've never been the same offer. And we got 2 offers that were the same. And one of them happened to be through an aftermath that just got back Hinman as the owner and coach. And it was like, we could just see the possibilities right then and there. It's like, man, we could have a guy who has a team supported by his own paint factory. So if he wants you to get better, he's going to go, here are the resources to go practice more and get better. We have a coach who's going to demand greatness from us and can teach us more than we already know. Like we can finally begin learning again and growing and excelling as individuals. And,
Exactly.
it's not just like, okay, we have to go out there and be individually better at gun skills to win tough points. Now it's, okay, no, I'm going to teach you how to be smarter in pro paintball again because I know more than you. Sweet. Thank you, Mike. And yeah, everything just made sense where it's like, man, the hardest part was leaving all of our good friends on DMG. But logically, as far as one team to the other, like the lateral move, it was a no-brainer because it's like we're going to go to a team with a real coach. Josh is going to get to play paintball again. Uh, it's a better deal. Like we'll get the budget to really play a lot more and kind of finally make paintball no longer like a liability on our lives in any way. And honestly, like that's a great perk, but that was the least of it compared to just getting to play for Mike and for this team name and to start a fresh start and just see what new opportunities and growth and experience would come. And it was just like, it was about a week of deliberating, and it was like, yep, let's do this. Let's break the news to the guys that we have these offers on the table. And, not only are we leaning towards them, but we feel pretty much like we're going to take them. And that was it.
Yeah, no, honestly, it seems like a great decision. Like, if I were in your shoes, I would have done the same thing. I mean, in any sports team, like players move to different teams all the time, and like, so I don't know why there would be any like ill will towards you. I don't come from that camp
Yeah.
of like eat. Like, I want to see all my friends eat. So if I was really your friend and you were like, listen, this is what I want to do because I think it's better for me, I would be like, dude, do it, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that you have that mindset because I'm like that too. It's like when Tim and Thomas left us, like, hey man, you got to do what's best for you individually, and a true friend knows. And I feel like everybody out there should listen to this. A real friend, who's your real friend because even if you stop serving their purpose and you just do something that now only benefits you, they'll be happy for you. They'll be happy for your happiness and your success, knowing that it's no longer going to serve them. Those guys who are kind of friends contractually, you know what I mean? Like they're great and they have your back, but it's circumstantial. And once you move away or leave their team or you leave that job for a better job, they get upset with you. And it's like, well, did you always think I would just work this job where I've kind of hit the ceiling and there's no higher, room to move up or forward progress or growth? Like now I'm getting offered my dream job. Shouldn't you be happy for me and with me? And it's just kind of always made those guys. And I it's funny because I didn't expect any ill will, and everybody, like you said the same thing where they're like, if I was in your shoes, I would do the same thing. Putting themselves in my specific situation without projecting their own like situation or needs on it. And everyone appreciated it. And I've gotten so much positive feedback and support through calls, text, social media, in person, all of it. Like everybody I know has told me like, I'm happy for you. I think it was the right move and good luck, thank you for doing it. And sorry, I'm going to
remember just it was relevant to me because I was having like a similar conversation with my girlfriend about the podcast, and we are just talking about other people's views, and she was like, well, you're not like upset that this person's podcast is getting more views than yours? And I was like, no, dude, I'm happy for them. Like, I wish them great success. I don't understand why like their viewers can't be my viewers too, or why they can't listen to that podcast and mine. Like why don't we all eat and we all get great? Like, I don't get that. Like, oh, this person's better than me. Fuck him mentality. Like, it's stupid.
Yep. I agree. It's weird. It's, a lot of that I think is fear. Anytime people like project weird anger or hatred out towards you, it's normally like some type of like jealousy or, I don't know, just like a lack of contentment with their own situation. And, yeah, it's funny that you see that and have that parallel in podcasts because it's like, hey man, we can all grow and succeed together. Like I want everybody around me to find success and eat. It's not competition out here. Then if you live in a world where you think it's scarcity and you always have to compete to get what you want, you're living in the wrong paradigm. Because in my world, it's only abundance. There's enough for everyone. It's they hide the fact that there is enough resources for everybody. And it's more than just resource in the world for everybody. It's also in you can do your thing and follow your path in life and get far. And it doesn't have to be walking over top of another person. There's room for both of you. That's why you'll see a million Chinese food restaurants in the same city, because
Right.
you think like, oh man, can I open this up, or is it going to be too much competition? There's enough people in that city that can support another Chinese food place or another haircut place or whatever. You know what I mean? If it's a 50-person town and you open up the fifth pizza place, maybe now you're hurting yourself. But the world we live in is pretty interconnected and globalized and international now. So things like podcasts or big sports or whatever, like e-commerce, marketing, all these different things, there is plenty of room in big niches for more, and it does not mean you have to compete with the others. You can just do your own thing.
Dude, 100%. I agree with you 100%. So, what is your guys' home field going to be for Aftermath? Where you guys be getting a bulk of your practices in at?
Um, so I believe our home field will be the well-known field in San Diego. I want to say it's Victory, which I
Okay, yeah,
think is actually the name of the paintball park on Camp Pendleton. Maybe,
might be
I'm not
right.
quite sure, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure there. I think they might
Yeah,
be different. I think Victory and Camp Pendleton Park are two different fields, but I might be wrong.
I thought so, but I've been seeing in our group chat about like, hey, meet at this time to get on base. Yeah, the Marines will bring you in. So I think
That
maybe it
sounds
was
like Camp
taken over
Pendleton.
and by a new owner and renamed. But yeah, I mean, you have to go past like you're not like right next to the military base. It's a huge amount of land, but you go down the same uh, road, like the same dirt road pathway. So yeah, like they don't let felons or like I don't know people with drugs or illegals or anything like that on this property, and you do have to go through that same checkpoint to get to this field. So, and I might be mistaken, but I think that's what the deal is now. We might play at other fields because if you're down in that San Diego area, you're near LA. So I believe the bulk of the time will be in one of those two spots to play with Ironman and Dynasty. But I also know that the team is willing to travel if it means getting a quality practice. Like I believe we already have a practice set up, and this is probably first time news on your podcast. But yeah, I think we're gonna go in like 2 months or so to paintball fit and play against
Oh,
like
nice.
all the AC camp and X Factor. So yeah, and then we might go to Florida, like Tampa Bay, before the season starts and play with Damage for like 3 days.
Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, breaking news. Dun dun dun. Dun. Um,
Yeah.
Cool, man. And so one of the other things I wanted to ask too is because I think like this may have been before Mike took over the team. Is I remember back when they first launched the exhibition that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. Aftermath was on the list, but I believe that was before Mike took it over. As far are you guys playing that, or you're not? You don't know.
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I have not seen any plans of it yet or heard
Okay.
anything. So I would say pretty safely no. I don't think we intend on going to that. And honestly, it's because the teams that are going to be there are going to be those East Coast teams that are kind of like the lower eight in the brackets and stuff like that. So it's great. It would still be good competition and a good like way to test ourselves. And hey, where do we stand right off the back with this new team? Only a few weeks of playing with each other. However, I mean, in San Diego, we can get a much better weekend just getting our asses kicked by Dynasty for 3 days than playing matches against like the lower tier teams. And I think anybody would agree with that is like, well,
Oh
where are
yeah.
you going to learn more? What's going to be the more productive weekend? Like if you're going to go to this exhibition and take it as a practice rather than trying to win anyways, yeah, you get a lot of looks. You get to play, 6, 7 other teams, or do you want to play against Dynasty and Ironman?
No, you're so right. You're right. I just wanted to ask because, like, again, I remember like back when they first like came out this. I remember seeing them on the flyer, and then actually before we hopped on, I was over. I was looking at the flyer. I was like, oh, they don't have the teams on there anymore. I was like, I wonder if they're still playing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still wondering it. I might even just ask my group chat later, but uh, we've been told these plans for other practices where pro teams are coming to us. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard anything about going there for that exhibition specifically. So I don't believe I think we're just going to wait and get like more time because I think the season, who knows when it'll actually start with all this COVID thing. So I think
Mhm.
we're going to just take as much preparation time as we can and really grind it out to see like who our starting five is and who maybe of like rookie level semi-pro guys is ready to step up and be a guy who can rotate, and to get Mike used to us before he has to put us in a match where it's like, well, now I just kind of have to run point after point and like put plays out there. No, now
Right.
we can, like, if we're continuously screwing up, he can stop practice for 5-10 minutes and really yell at us and get it through our head on the mistakes we're making, so that then we don't waste a whole match worth of points just losing and not knowing why.
Yeah, no, I think you're so right. You're so right. So, what are your thoughts? Like, they haven't even made a lot of this public. A lot of this is just what I've heard from actually Tyler and Marcelo's program. But what do you think of the new schedule that the NXL is trying to come up with the Super Cup and a couple regionals? What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Uh, I like the concept. It was actually kind of talked about last year in the middle of COVID, just because they were trying to figure out ways to do something. And you
Right,
remember, I want to say it was around June, they put out that thing with the divided conference country, where it's
right.
like, hey, you 7 pro teams over here, 7 over here, 6 over here, and it'll cut back on travel. You only need the weekend, and it'll build up your rankings before you go to World Cup when we're back together. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty good like temporary solve. And honestly, my old mentor and coach, Buddy Bauer, has been talking about that since like 2012, where he's like, I think paintball needs to be conferences. A lot of other pro sports do that because it saves all of the airfare and the travel and the cost for these teams. There's just really a lot of great benefits to it. So I'm for it. It also stinks that, you know, um, you won't get to play some of these teams until the end. And it stinks that like West Coast bracket is going to be brutal. There's a lot of tough teams over here, especially with Impact lumped in. The South bracket is kind of tough with 3 tough Texas teams in there, and then Florida's damage if they're counted in the South. And then the East Coast team, like, once again, no disrespect, but that bracket, like NYX are pretty tough, but didn't make a Sunday in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
And Revo is proven to be tough. That's a consistent Sunday team now. So it's like, well, Revo is just going to beat the crap out of everybody over there. And that's what
yeah.
most people predicted when the brackets first happened. So that's my one issue, is like you kind of have a watered down bracket in a way. And I think that like Maddie and some people would agree on that. And then you have some meat grinders where it's like, okay, there's going to be Sunday quality teams that just don't make it to Super Cup. But I like the idea of the World Cup followed behind the Super Cup too, because now you get that extra cup where it's like, okay, your World Cup top few teams and teams that won events, and then teams that won events from Europe, Asia, South America get to play in this. That's a true international World Cup, not just a USA Cup.
No, I agree. I agree. I like what they're doing. 'Cause they're trying to keep it safe. I kind of like that they're trying to pay out the top 10 too, just so like, yeah, just you may have made Sunday every week, but you never finished in the top three. At least you'll get like 2 grand. It's better
Mm-hmm.
than $0. Help you out with something. I mean, jeez.
Yeah. The money payout thing where when you get there, no matter what, you make something, that's pretty cool too. I really like that structured like dividend system. And it's
Hmm.
like, because it's kind of like when you go to a PGA Pro Tour, it's like, hey,
Right.
just by being there, you earned your place. Bottom place is still getting a check, so it was worthwhile, like the season. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps out some of those like mid-tier teams, say like a damage team who, yeah, they make Sunday a lot. They'll maybe win the first round, but they typically don't make it that far. They get knocked out at like seventh or eighth. They're walking away with $0, 0 cents at the end of the year. That sucks. So at least they'll be able to,
Yes,
like, I don't know, buy someone a gun or
over
something.
and over. Yep. Hey,
Just leave a little closing remarks for our listeners or anything like that, dude. Just shoot us maybe a little advice, and you can go meet Josh.
I appreciate that. Well, let me ask you this. I like to ask my interviewer questions back.
Do it.
One, what did you think about this news? I asked Maddie and Marcel this, but like, what do you feel about the move for me and the other 2 friends, if need be, or do you think that was a good pickup for Aftermath, or should they have went after, newer talent or some of their old veterans and, got some like big hitters. How do you feel?
Dude, I actually love the move. I think Mike is going to be like a great coach for you. Like as soon as I heard that you guys had a player coach, I am a big proponent of that does not work. You need a head coach. If this was a football team, the quarterback would also not be the head coach. That would never, ever, 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 ever work.
Never
So
ever.
never ever. So I think it's great that you're gonna have that you're gonna have a coach to really propel your game to the next level. I think it's great that Josh was able to come with you because I think having somebody that you trust is super important. Like super important that you have someone you trust. Like if you don't trust the
Yep.
dude next to you, you might as well not even be playing with him. And you have Tim coming over too, which I didn't even know about. I think you guys are gonna have a great squad. I'm excited, dude. As a fan, I can't wait to see what this year holds. I'm pissed I gotta wait another 2 months for an event. Like, I wish you guys would play. I thought the event was happening like a couple weeks, man.
I'll tell you about our first practice this weekend in San Diego with like a mix of dynasty guys and Mouse and Spica. We got a tough squad of 5 to beat the heck out of our guys who are, for us, it's like we're already on the team. It's announced. So for us, it's like a first practice, but for a couple guys showing up, it's a tryout. And Hinman obviously has the final choice, but he wants to see guys who have the talent and guys that we say, yeah, that guy, I like playing with him. He has good chemistry or he listens. And I'll also mention shout out to Brandon Unger, who's already on the team. And I've been looking forward to playing with him since watching him excel on Thunder the past few years. I think he's a very quality one, a good, intelligent, aggressive player. And he's hung out with us one time last year after an event. I want to say it was in, I forget, Chicago or Virginia Beach or I don't know, some random city, but he hung out and went to like the downtown and the water area with us, and very cool kid, very down to earth, very driven too. So I think he's a good guy to add into that immediate like starting core, as well as David Ramirez, who's a known tough nitty gritty guy
Mm-hmm.
from Mutiny, a badass guy as a human outside of paintball, and he's got a chip on his shoulder from bringing a top semi-pro team through the ranks for a few years and having really close finals appearances and World Cup wins. So that's our 5 that we already know is in the team. I have an idea of guys that we're expecting to see there, and yeah, I think the future's bright.
Yeah, I think the future's super bright. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Joe, thank you again so much for joining us. You're always so gracious with your time, man. You're the best. Like I said, I love your brain. I love the
Thank
way you
you.
think. You're just clutch. We'll definitely have to have you back. Like event one recap, you're my go-to guy to call and hit up because I love talking to you.
For sure.
I do not want to keep Josh waiting anymore. So everyone,
Yeah.
thank you for tuning in. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review. Smash the like button on this one, and we'll catch all you guys on the next episode. Man, take it easy.
Thanks, guys.